Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
Hi, I'm Jack Berry, and I'm an Ypsilanti at the Chris Miles of Golf, and we're here with the man himself who started this a few years ago. Chris, how long was it?
Well, we started in 1995, so it'll be 23 years in October. But actually, the business started in 1952, so it's been around here a long, long time.
I mean, it was, what, a driving range at that time?
It was called Pat's Par 3. There was a executive golf course and a driving range and miniature golf.
Well, how did you get into this? I know you're a runner, and how did you run? You were runner-up in the Michigan Amateur, for crying out loud, and here you are playing golf.
Yeah, well, it's a good question how it started. I look back and say, well, what prompted it? But I had another business that I sold, and I didn't really want to do nothing. So one thing led to another, and I've always enjoyed golf and played golf since I was a child, and so ended up purchasing it.
So you started with what? You had the driving range? Or what?
Yeah, when we bought it, it was kind of not in great shape when we bought it. So there was a driving range and there was this golf shop, but it just wasn't doing very well. And then we were able to expand the size of the driving range because there was some water issues that got taken care of. So then we made the driving range, as you see it today, much larger than it was originally.
How about the building here?
That was here when we purchased it, yeah.
Well, you've got everything you could ever want for golf is right here.
Well, there's a golf shop, obviously. We do a lot of club fitting. That's what we're known for. There's a driving range, a teaching academy. And then we also now, just this last year, we have golf simulators in the winter and a tavern. So there's a lot going on.
All right. Now, I think that Chris is going to show us some of that. And now we are here in the what?
The Cluboratory.
We got a man who can pronounce it properly.
Well, we went back and forth as to what to call it, and somebody came up with this name, and thought that's probably not the smartest thing to do, but it was kind of intriguing, and we have a lot of fun with the name. Like a lot of people come up with different variations of it, and so we have them written on the wall of all the different variations, and they're pretty interesting. But yes, it's the Cluboratory.
Okay, now tell us what happens in here.
Well, this is where people will normally buy golf clubs from us, but basically two things happen. The first thing is golfers usually have an idea, maybe they've read some things about clubs or they've hit a friend of theirs, so they got some ideas of the club that they might be interested in. But this, where we are now, gives them an opportunity to test that club, but also additional clubs. So when they come out here, we'll be sure they hit the club that they're interested in, but then we'll gather data and talk to them about their game, and we'll probably have maybe 5 or 6 other clubs that they might want to put into the mix. And then they'll just simply start hitting shots with those. Again, we're still gathering data, but the sole purpose of that is for them to tell us the club that they like the best. So in that, we call that the testing phase. Then once they tell us which club they like the best from this process, then that phase is over and we start the fitting process, where we're going to be sure that the shaft is right, the length, the weight, and the flex, and the grip is right, and then if it's irons or woods, there's other things that we look for. So, then once we get the specifications on those clubs, that part of the process is over, but then we have to start the process of ordering them, and so then that information gets communicated to the manufacturer, and they'll build the clubs and ship them back to us relatively quickly. So it's a little bit more lengthy process for somebody to go through to buy clubs, but we've been doing this since really when we started. 1996 is when we started it, and people still like to do it, and it's a really important part of our business. So we know that it adds value to the process of purchasing the clubs. It takes them a little bit longer, but people seem to understand that that's really well worth it.
It's not like just walking in and say, gee, I like that bag and I like this clubs. And
Definitely not. Yeah. When we started, all the clubs were glued into the shaft, so it was really difficult for us to come up with many variations. But as you look here now, you can see that because we can interchange shafts and heads not only with the woods but with iron. So the amount of shafts we can look at, so it's really, and then we use these monitors now that give us an unbelievable amount of information about what's happening with the club and the golf ball that helps with the fitting. So it's so much more sophisticated than when we started, but I mean people are.
It's what the PGA Tour players get.
Yeah, right. In some ways, I think it's almost better. Like if you were a PGA Tour player and you represented TaylorMade, guess what? You're going to have TaylorMade clubs. So you could go there and you'll be able to test some different TaylorMade clubs and they'll fit them for you. But here you can test TaylorMade, Callaway, Ping, Cobra, whomever, and compare all those different clubs, which is something really a tour player, isn't going to be able to do that.
But your customer is going to walk away happy, I think.
Well, we hope they are, yeah. And they seem to be because, like I say, we've been doing it a long time, and, if it really wasn't of value, people are, they'll understand that and not come back, but they do, so we know it works.
Okay, Chris, we're at the top of the Chris Mile project here in Ypsilanti.
Excuse me for interrupting, but it's called Pat's on the Upper Deck. So I think I mentioned that originally the facility was called Pat's Par 3, and we kind of wanted to keep the name active. So when we got a tavern 2 years ago, we named it Pat's Tavern by the Green in the summer, and then on the upper deck in the winter. When the upper deck is where we have the simulators. Well, as the name implies, you can simulate playing around a golf. You hit shots, as you can see, into the screen, and there's a ball monitor that will tell you where the shot ends up on the course, and then it'll just the next thing you see is if you were standing at that part of the course, and then you hit your next shot, and it continues until you've holed out. These gentlemen are putting right now. And they have a gallery, as you can hear.
What are all those squares up there instead of circles?
You only see those once you get to the green to help you get a visual of the undulations of the green. So now he's getting ready to tee off on the next hole. And they're playing Bethpage State Park. But there's courses on there like Pebble Beach and the old course at St. Andrews. And
you mentioned or showed me the book there. How many courses altogether do you have?
I think there's a couple hundred courses. It's expensive to set them up because they've got to, do a real thorough analysis of the course. Now you can see that monitor that you'll see down there told them where the ball ended up, and
It's your turn to swing.
and it's pretty similar to playing golf. Like whoever's furthest away they'll say, hey, it's your turn to shoot, and it'll give the yardage left. There's a long hitter right there.
Sounded good.
Oh. But he just hit that 283.
Player one, it's your turn to swing.
Yeah. So now this is the second shot that he'll have into the green, and it's visually what you would see if you were.
Ooh, bring it in.
Good shot.
Nice on.
Gallery likes it.
It's
Have you guys played here before?
rough.
It looks like it. I mean, it takes a few times to land. You get better.
It's great, Chris.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, especially where we live, you know.
Yeah. And you have a spring like this one.
Good shot.
What you find is that it takes an hour to play 18 holes if you're just playing by yourself. It takes 2 hours if you're two people, 3 if you're 3 hours if you're 3, 4. So it and we do it by the hour. So if you want to play 18 holes by yourself, it would be $25 to $45 depending on the time of day that you played.
Well, Chris is happily in the top 100 pro shops over the years, and it's been for a long time, and justifiably so.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, it started in 2000, and every year since 2000, we've been fortunate enough to be considered one of the top 100 golf shops in the country. So we also have another facility. It's really amazingly similar to this one in Cincinnati. This facility is 28 acres. It's 28 acres down there, exactly the same size. The layout's very similar with the golf shops right next to the driving range, and then there's heated tees. We have a laboratory in Cincinnati as well. So if you're in the Cincinnati area, you could stop by. We always tell people that are going south along I-75 that stop at our facility and they can get a free bucket of balls because we're about 5 miles off the freeway.
Well, you see an awful lot of Michigan license plates on going down there. So, what does it take to be a top shop? What all goes into it?
Well, it's actually kind of a nice motivation for us. Every year they will have things that they would like you to tell them about, initiatives that you've had maybe in the golf shop or promotions. And so every year we're sort of thinking and trying to stay ahead of it and think, well, what kind of things do we want to do this year that will help us as a golf shop? And so we're, every year there's something that we'll plan, and then we'll use that in the contest. And then, there's a lot of photographs they want, but mostly it's these promotions that you've been running.
It's like what is the swap shop and the garbage sale, or your garage sale?
Yeah, we run the same promotions literally every year. The first one that we do in February is called Miles of Palooza. And that one features the new equipment that we've just seen at the golf show. So it's really a demo day of the new equipment because people are interested in the latest equipment. So that occurs in February, and we do that for 3 consecutive weekends. Then the next one that we do is actually we're conducting right now. It's in April. We call it the Club Swap and Garage Sale, where we're going to be selling last year's clubs that have been discontinued, demos, or used clubs. And that's actually our biggest promotion. We do the same thing again in August. And then in between that, we have something called our Test and Fit, which features a big demo day out. We call it Test and Fit Party, actually. There's a big demo day outside. There's beer, there's music, there's food, and it's just a fun day that we have usually in June. And then we do also something called the Golf Fair, which is the same time that the Ann Arbor Art Fair goes on, and we call it everything that's at the art fair except the art. So anyway, those are the promotions we run every year.
Well, you've got something going all the time.
Yeah, we do. We try to anyway. Yeah.
And we've been talking with Chris Smile here at Miles of Golf in Ypsilanti, right near a freeway, just like the place down in Cincinnati.
Yeah.